Adam is the Chief Sustainability Officer of Clarios. Clarios is a world leader in advanced energy storage solutions, powering 1 in 3 of the world's cars. Clarios has developed and operates one of the largest and most effective circular economies in the world to supply its new battery products. The company recycled its first battery before Henry Ford introduced the Model T. Now Clarios recovers and recycles over 8,000 batteries every hour of every day across its global network. Welcome, Adam.
Thank you, Laura, and I want to thank the Council for the opportunity to talk about something that most people take for granted, but we focus on every day, and that's car batteries. Not only making them, but making them in the most efficient, effective, and environmentally responsible way possible through this circular economy that has its roots back many, many decades. But in fact, the innovations that I'm going to be talking about the most really came out of this region from 2 companies working together to find new opportunities to use both the new battery delivery and the old batteries coming out of cars. And that was our predecessor, Globe Union, and Sears with the Die-Hard battery. And it happened around the time of these advertisements several decades ago. So the genesis of this truly functional, exceptional circular economy that we operate, we're right here in this region. So what I want to give you is just a little bit of background on Clarios. We are the world's largest manufacturer of conventional chemistry batteries based on lead-acid chemistries for automotive applications, ranging from traditional starter batteries to advanced batteries that support systems and support systems in today's electronic vehicles, hybrids, and virtually every vehicle platform that is on the roads today. We work with every major automaker around the world, and we supply replacement batteries for those vehicles through the automotive aftermarket. We operate around the world, but are headquartered here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And I wanted to show a little bit of our supply chain and give you a bit of that perspective. And if I did this properly, this whole map would be covered with batteries because the supply chain is essentially every automotive parts store, dealer, repair shop, home garage, where people are replacing batteries and returning them to our network and our system to make new batteries. So that is one of the key secrets of our success. As I mentioned, it really came out of this region, but is something that has been expanded around the world. From our perspective, sitting here in North America, we are able to deliver and collect batteries from the Arctic Circle to the bottom of the Yucatan Peninsula as part of the global network that Laura mentioned. So in a nutshell, we make batteries out of the old batteries we take back from you. That makes you our supplier. So anyone who owns a vehicle, has ridden in a vehicle, has been part of a vehicle that required maintenance or a battery replacement, has been an integral part of our supply chain. That's a different phenomenon when you think about it from a traditional supply chain that you may be used to. It's certainly something that has developed for us over a number of decades, but is certainly something that it is quite unique, and it requires a bit of a different perspective. When you look at your customer actually being your supplier, it's quite a different paradigm. So I want to give you a little bit of background, not getting into a whole lot of detail about our overall supply chain. And as you will see, it is a circle. There are resources that have been extracted. In some cases, the batteries we are making come from batteries that our grandparents may have used in their vehicles, and they've been cycling in our products for a number of cycles. But there's a number of steps in the manufacturing process, the retail and the customer use phase, that ultimately allows us to collect those batteries and recycle them at the end of life. It allows us to understand all of the life cycle impacts and opportunities to create a more efficient, effective, and environmentally preferable supply chain. But it does create a significantly different dynamic than we may be accustomed to if we work in a traditional linear supply chain. For example, there are demands for new batteries at different times when batteries are coming back and needed to be created to enable the raw materials for use in batteries. At first, the lead was the prize commodity that was recovered from batteries, and companies like my own recognized that there was another resource available, which was the plastic, the polypropylene that was available. So we were acquiring new polypropylene when you were disposing of old polypropylene that was battery grade because it came from a battery. So over the decades, we've been able to integrate not only recycling the lead, but the cases and the polypropylene cases. And the third major component of the types of batteries we manufacture is acid. And we are able to take that acid in some cases and turn that into a byproduct or a co-product that can be used in other industries, further creating new opportunities for us, but also reducing the footprint associated with the products that we manufacture. As we build on this circular economy that truly is critical to our function, it is as critical as the supply chains for companies that may have to import raw materials from around the world. It's as critical that we get the batteries from you around the corner, be it in the auto parts store or the auto dealer. But in some cases, there are people who leave batteries around our region, in barns, in boathouses, in garages. And so part of our effort is to ensure that those batteries can come back into our circular economy and supply chain, minimizing the risk and enabling our access to those raw materials. So we, as Clarios, have developed what we call our sustainability blueprint to help guide our next iteration and our focus on the circular economy. And that's really coming back to the value of society for the products we make today and the products that we're bringing to the marketplace and to our customers as we speak. It requires a devotion to operational excellence because the type of materials that we use in our conventional products or any battery chemistry that is used for electrochemical storage can cause harm if not managed properly. So having that dedication to operational excellence at all stages of the battery life is absolutely critical. And that requires a commitment to life cycle stewardship. Yes, there are advantages for us to collect those raw materials from you versus going to mines in far off locations. It reduces cost. It gives us more access. It gives us more diversity of supply, but it requires us to have diligent stewardship of that product, of those raw materials at every stage of the lifespan. It also requires us as a company, as a collection of customers and suppliers in this broader network to be transparent in what we do, to help the public and help policymakers understand what is required and what is needed to operate one of these circular economies effectively. But it also requires a partnership between the public and private sector. We've found that in every geography where we've been able to establish this kind of closed loop system, that there's a critical role of the government to have strict regulations on what is the safe handling and disposition of a used battery, how it should be responsibly transported, collected, and then ultimately recycled. Those regulatory aspects are absolutely critical. So as the world's leader in this type of energy storage and the utilization of these types of circular supply chains, we have focused on 3 major public-private partnerships to really focus our efforts moving forward. And that's with the World Economic Forum's Global Battery Alliance, which is looking at extending these stewardship principles around the world. a collection of companies, including major automakers and retailers, to define responsible practices for today's batteries and the next generation of batteries, as well as a new partnership we founded with our Clarios Foundation, with UNICEF, and the non-governmental organization Pure Earth, to ensure that where batteries are not appropriately collected and responsibly recycled, there is the potential for significant harm to occur, particularly in low and middle income countries. And that is the reason for protecting every child's potential, to be able to share some of these best practices around the world and help drive circular supply chains and solutions that can apply around the world. So I just want to close with a couple of summary thoughts, because not every product is a lead acid car battery. And that lead acid car battery, as I mentioned, has three simple components. It wasn't always that way. There were different designs, there were different alloys, there were a myriad of different combinations that made recycling difficult. This was an evolution that occurred over many decades, and we're trying to learn from that experience to apply to the next generation of batteries, to lithium-ion batteries, to alternative chemistries, to be able to use these same kind of principles to not only supply our new battery production, but to minimize our impact and environmental footprint. So I want to really challenge anyone who's thinking about this space to throw away the take, make, waste, or linear paradigm, because the one takeaway from this experience is a circle isn't a straight line. And that may sound trivial, it may sound trite, but it couldn't be more appropriate for this conversation. Because if we think about things in terms of traditional linear supply chains, it's incredibly difficult to apply the concepts that are needed to really ensure a functioning circular economy. And it isn't just one circle. If you think about how this operates in real terms around our region every day, there are many circles that are happening that are supplying our network, that are managing the different aspects of this. So there's a complexity associated with this, but it is certainly something that can be done, it has been done, and it will be done. Not only for the products that we make today, but those products that I mentioned we are working on in the future. So again, I really appreciate the opportunity to share some of these thoughts at a very high level. And any company, any organization, any jurisdiction that is considering these types of opportunities, I would encourage you to do so. I would encourage you to seek out help. We certainly have resources available on our website and through some of the organizations I mentioned as well. But it is certainly something that has been core to our business and critical to our future.
Thank you so much, Adam. I really appreciate that. And I'll ask you, we'll be going into breakout sessions after we hear from our next featured